Hello and welcome to my disaster of a basement. It's a bit of a work in progress. Kind of had a family room going on there. One of these days I'll finish that. But just wanted to show you how I straightened out this cinder block wall today. When we moved in here, the entire basement was covered with that lovely 70s paneling. House was built in about 1960, so I don't know when they kind of rehabbed down here, but anyway, that had to go, so we pulled it off of this wall. We had a lovely surprise that now you're not going to see as much of, but this bottom course here, and that's actually chipped away, but you can see where the mortar is broken. That was actually out of place by about an inch. You can put your finger under there, and you know, you wouldn't before today you wouldn't be able to see up to the first knuckle of my finger, so that's how far in it had shifted. So I saw a video, and if I can find it again on YouTube, I'll credit it, but this older gentleman demonstrated this technique where he put 2x4s, vertical studs. I did it 16 inches on center because that corresponded to one block. So he was able to, because he was doing the front wall of his house, to attach the he was able to attach them, for example, right here to his floor joists and get a lot of security that way. I had to kind of modify that, so I wound up, I just took 8-foot 2x4s and screwed them to the ceiling. I'll take them down and I'll use them for something else. But then I just braced against the upright there to hold the top. And then at the bottom, what he showed and what I copied him, he just took some red heads or anchors, and he anchored a 2x4 right to the ground. So he did that. Across. So now those 2x4s are well contained, and I was pretty surprised by this. But then he showed how to make these wedges. So this is just was a 1x6. I don't know if you can see, but I cut it with the grain. It's very important to cut it with the grain. If you cut it across the grain, they're just going to splinter as you drive them in. But nothing special, just cut a bunch of random shapes, and I did it on my chop saw. Just set the angle, and then, you know, cut a piece about 5.5 inches long, and then turned it around and just kept flipping it over as I made the wedges. So once I had about 100 wedges cut, then I just started taking and fitting them in between the uprights and the cinder block, and took my trusty hammer, and I am not left, but tapped them all into place and just progressively just kept adding them. I kind of went up the wall just so I was making sure that I was, you know, even though what I really needed to move was the bottom of the wall, I kept going up the wall to make sure that I kept the wall moving as one unit, and just kind of kept working like in a circle pattern. Started over here in the corner, where it was actually, this corner here was actually straight already. Nothing really needed to be done there. But I just worked across and then up and then back around and kept tapping those wedges in there. And I had made myself a little meter piece. So that line, that pencil line there, was right at the edge of the block. So you can see that that block's moved, you know, nearly 1/2 inch. So, and now this joint, if you run your finger across it, it's, you know, it feels like all the other joints. It's a little proud right there, but I think I'm not going to worry about that because I don't want to overdo it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside and I'm going to chisel off the outside of the top block. I've got some 1/2 inch rebar that I'm going to fish down in in the cores of the concrete, and I'm going to measure it so that I make sure I get it all the way to the bottom, and then fire up the concrete mixer, and be about 3 or 4 bags of cement for every core. There's 3 cores per block or 4 cores per block. It's gonna be a big day tomorrow of mixing concrete and pouring it into the wall, and then top block on the outside, and this wall should be good to go for years to come. One other thing to note is I am putting an addition on outside of this wall. I'm adding a full depth basement. So actually that's why I quit at that point over there, because the door into the new portion of the building is gonna be there. So I have the advantage here where there's nothing on the other side of this wall. There's no dirt holding it back. So I think that made it a lot easier. But I don't know, the video that I saw of the guy doing it, he actually didn't have it excavated on the outside, and he was able to move his wall nicely as well with this method. So I guess I'd like to thank the guy. Again, I'll credit him if I can figure out how to do that. And like to thank him for a great suggestion, because it worked like a charm here. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.